It was a dark and stormy night in the city of Rutherford, when Emily, a young woman in her mid-20s, left her late shift at the diner. She walked through the deserted streets, feeling the cold rain hitting her skin. She noticed that the city was eerily quiet, which made her feel uneasy. As she walked, she felt like someone was following her. She turned around, but there was no one there. She tried to brush off the feeling and picked up her pace. Suddenly, she felt a hand on her shoulder. She turned around to see a tall and muscular man wearing a black mask. Before she could scream, the man covered her mouth with his hand and dragged her into a dark and dingy alley. Emily tried to fight back, but the man was too strong. He tied her hands and feet with ropes and blindfolded her. She could hear his heavy breathing and whispers in her ear. She tried to scream, but her voice was muffled. After what felt like hours, the man took off her blindfold and forced her to look at him. He was wearing a white lab coat and holding a scalpel in his hand. "I have been watching you for weeks, Emily," he said. "You are the perfect specimen for my experiments." Emily tried to reason with him, but the man was not interested in listening. He began to cut her skin with the scalpel, causing her immense pain. She begged him to stop, but he continued his twisted work, saying that he was doing it for the greater good. Days turned into weeks as Emily was subjected to unspeakable torture and experimentation. The man would inject her with unknown substances, conduct bizarre tests on her, and record her every move. She had lost track of time and was on the verge of losing her sanity. One day, Emily managed to break free from her restraints and tried to escape, but the man caught her before she could get far. He dragged her back to the torture chamber and said that he had a new experiment in mind. He strapped her onto a table in a hidden underground laboratory and began to cut open her chest. Emily screamed in agony, but the man was relentless. He was convinced that he could create a new life form by merging her organs with his. As he worked, Emily saw an opportunity to strike. She used all her strength to grab the scalpel from the man's hand and plunged it into his chest. He fell to the ground, bleeding profusely. Emily managed to escape the chamber and ran out into the streets of the city of Woodhaven, where she collapsed. She was found by the police and taken to the hospital, where she was treated for her injuries. The man was never caught, and Emily was left with the traumatic memories of her ordeal. She became a recluse, unable to trust anyone, and lived the rest of her life haunted by the horror she had experienced in the city of Woodhaven.